Madam City Manager, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Good evening, Mr. Badura.
Here.
Mr. Runyon.
Here.
Mr. Newman. Ms. Plow. Mr. Vine. Mr. Davis. Mayor Benjamin.
Here. We have the honor of having the Sound Opera Singers. How about leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, wow. That was beautiful. Beautiful. Please. Reverend Bright.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this time that we have today. Lord, we ask that you continue to forgive us for our sins and have blessings and mercy on our life. Lord, we ask that you just give us all the wisdom and courage that we need to build relationship as you built us for. Lord, we know we were made in your image, and the biggest thing in your image is love and relationship. Lord, we ask that you just ease the minds and hearts of everyone here, and that the things that are done today will glorify you in your name. We pray. Amen.
Amen. For nearly 20 years, the Sam Opera Singers have been gracing this community and communities everywhere with a mission to present American choral music in uniquely entertaining, inspiring, and engaging style. And we're so proud of the vision of the Quackenbushes and each and every one of you here. That was just amazing, amazing, amazing. And it's my privilege and pride on behalf of the people of the City of Columbia to name September 15th, 2015 as Sandlapper Singers Day in Columbia, South Carolina. So.
Mr. Mayor, just
wanted to say that this was, I think, the first opportunity I've had to really feel an appreciation for the acoustics in this building. And that is one of the treasures here. And I really appreciated that. I could hear the succinct pitches of the baritones, the tenors, the sopranos. And that is a treasure of this city. And we really appreciate you coming by. I'm an instrumentalist. I played trumpet. I cannot sing. But we really appreciate this. And this building really has absorbed the grace of your voices. And so I thank you.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. Thank y'all. Is there a motion to approve the agenda, striking items 21 and deferring item 30, 1218 Park Street, 1010 Lady Street, until myself, Mr. Newman, and the developer can meet with our staff and the residents of the Vista to discuss this matter? That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? With the previous question, clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Badura. Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor?
I didn't do it.
Mr. Runyon.
Yes, sir. I just want to very briefly pick up we left off in our discussion earlier today and request that Ms. Plow, who I believe is probably watching and has asked to participate in the discussion as we have done in the past, that we would allow her to do that. I think the technology is set up and it's here, ready for her to Skype in for the meeting. So I just want to put that on the table for council's consideration. Since we have done that in the past, I think it would be appropriate tonight.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Runyon.
Second that motion.
For the benefit of those of you, I didn't think it was a motion, but if that was a motion, we'll recognize Mr. Badura second. For the benefit of those who weren't at the work session earlier today, I mentioned at our work session that I received an email from a constituent questioning whether the practice of allowing council members to participate in a council meeting when they're not here, either via telephone or Skype or other type of communication, video conferencing, if it was legal. I forwarded that concern to city attorney and city manager, and also took a look at the ordinance, and it turns out we do not have an ordinance that allows this kind of absent participation. So at today's work session, I made my fellow council members aware of the concern, and out of abundance of caution, recommended that we can discontinue the practice until staff could present an enabling ordinance to vote on at our very next council meeting. I would have suggested that we draft the ordinance for tonight's meeting, but our policy requires a 72-hour notice before we put those types of issues on our agenda. Mr. Badura asked instead that we send the issue to a committee. He made a motion, Mr. Davis seconded it, went to committee. There's nothing in our books that allows that practice, and just responding to his constituent concern, I thought it was something we needed to address affirmatively. We even got a compliment today from Cliff LeBlanc, and those compliments are few and far and in between on the ways in which we handle our agendas now and the clarity in which we even articulate our executive session meetings. We now, as many of you may watch at home, allow for a live feed to view these meetings. In the absence of an ordinance that explicitly makes this type of action legal, I think out of an abundance of caution, we need to make sure we pass an ordinance, and I think that's still the case. But certainly, what was your motion, Mr. Runyon? Does that? I know you mentioned Ms. Plow. Does that also apply to Ms. Devine?
I believe, just based on the protocol that we've operated under in the past, where we have allowed it, and of course, we don't have an ordinance that prevents us from doing that either. We're silent on it, and so we have allowed it in the past. So yes, the motion is obviously if Ms. Devine is available, of course, that would apply to her as well. So that'll be the motion.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Mr. Runyon's motion, seconded by Mr. Badura. His motion was second. Any further, or any discussion, I should say? I would simply, I was wholly optimistic we might have a shorter meeting tonight. I'm sure I'm not the only person who came in here with that hope. But some of you who come here to every meeting and may not want to be here at every meeting, you know that it's rare we actually have unanimous votes. And this is an issue that we discussed very clearly. Every member of council present voted in the affirmative, which rarely happens, again, I might add. And if there's some unease or something that wasn't understood, I wish, in fact, we would have discussed it at the time. I believe that in the absence of an ordinance, we need to make sure that we operate in accordance with our existing city laws. If someone has another solution that doesn't involve this body potentially breaking the law, then I'm all ears. No further discussion. We move to the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Let me add to that, Mr. Mayor.
Please, Mr. Badura.
When the motion was placed and this council voted unanimously was to send this discussion to committee before we send a policy. The motion to suspend or the effort or the decision to suspend any video communication with Ms. Plow or Ms. Devine was made after the motion. So that's why we have to be careful about how we're moving forward or what to say in public. So I am moving forward to allow and second Mr. Runyon's motion to allow Mr. Mika Devine and Leona Plow to participate in the meeting tonight. So,
What's the proper protocol? Is there a substitute motion or an amended motion? If I wanted to make one, it would have to be consistent with the first motion?
It would be,
If I wanted to make a motion.
if you want to make a motion, well, first, I think Councilman Runyon was making a motion to add this to the agenda, because what you're doing now isn't on the agenda. So that takes a two-thirds vote, and then you would actually vote on his motion or amend his motion.
We just approved the agenda.
Yeah, I know, but you can add things to the agenda with a two-thirds vote. It also has to be exigent, so you have to make a determination that you want to add it and that it's necessary and exigent.
Is this necessary or exigent in legal counsel's opinion?
Are you adding the item
No.
for the...
Ms. Knox.
What's your response?
I would think not. I would think normally not, but this was a unique situation. I don't think we'll find anything in writing anywhere that this will fall under.
And Ms. Knox, I'm glad you brought it up, because during our work session discussion, when you're talking about following a protocol, a motion was made to be voted on, was not on the agenda. Now, you can make recommendation to send to committee without being on the agenda, but actually having an action motion that is taken by this council has to be on the agenda. So therefore, the motion that was made earlier today at work session, other than making it or send it to committee, is invalid.
There's an argument that's invalid if y'all want to raise that.
Well, you just made that argument.
I can't raise it, but there's this argument. If a matter's not on the agenda, in order to be placed, you got a two-thirds vote. It's got to meet certain requirements.
Is there any way possible that we can have before this body at the very next meeting an ordinance explicitly stating that we can, in fact, have members participating by telephonic or by video conferencing? Is that something difficult to craft?
No.
It should not be difficult to craft.
We can do it.
All right, it's just important that if we're going to do it, let's do it right, and that's my position. That's why I vote against the motion. Thank you, Counselor. I was going to consider making that a substitute motion or whatever else that you might have, but there's no need to prolong it. I'd rather just vote on the motion beforehand. All right. Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Badura?
So the motion is on the table to allow Ms. Devine and Ms. Blau to participate in the council meeting tonight via, yes?
That is the motion.
Aye.
I'm not sure anyone's even talking to Ms. Devine. Okay.
I'm
She
just,
knows it's an option, but that was your motion, right? Okay. All right. And yeah. Okay. Please.
Mr. Runyon?
Aye.
Mr. Newman?
No.
Mr. Davis?
No?
Mayor Benjamin?
No. All right. The motion to approve the minutes of May 15th, September 1st, and work session and council meeting minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Badura?
aye.
Mr. Runyon?
Aye.
Mr. Newman?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 2 through 12?
Second.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Newman, seconded by Mr. Davis. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move the previous question. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Badura?
Aye.
Mr. Runyon?
Aye.
Mr. Newman? Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin and council, at this time, I would like to introduce the September 2015 Employee of the Month, Ms. Danielle Riffenberg from Forestry and Beautification, a planner. Mr. Robert Anderson, Director of Public Works, will make the introduction.
I'm going to pretend to be Robert today. This is actually Sarah Holler, and that's okay. It's my pleasure to be here tonight to introduce our September Employee of the Month, Miss Danielle Riffenberg. Danielle's been with the city for just over 3 years now and has made a tremendous impact. When she started her job, the focus of it was our tree planting program, and once she got into it and got started, we realized all that she could do, and we started giving her all kinds of other projects to go along with it. In Danielle's first year here at the city, she became a licensed landscape architect. To my knowledge, she was the first landscape architect at the city, and she's one of 600 approximately throughout.
Oh, let the baby come up here. Look at.
She worked really hard to get her landscape architect license, and because of it, we actually expanded her work. She's been given big projects from engineering as well as small projects for neighborhoods. As soon as she starts working on one, we usually add 2 or 3 more. In fact, she's got a running list at our office that never seems to get any shorter. There are times when planting 500 trees every year it doesn't seem like it's on our radar, but we get it done every year, and we get it done with a smile. A big part of getting all that done is Danielle's dedication, her attention to detail, and her organization. People enjoy working with her, and she takes great pride in her work. She's been a huge asset to our division, to our department, and to the city. We're proud to work with her, and she's got a very bright future here. I do want to thank her husband, Jason, and her kids, Corbin and Leah, for coming here tonight. And I also want to thank her parents, who one I think is via FaceTime, and the other is watching the internet stream on the city's website. They're both in China. So we're making international presentations here. Hopefully we didn't get them up too early, because I think it's tomorrow in China. But their support makes it easier for Danielle to come to work every day and do what she does for us, which is great work. So thank you, Danielle.
But Danielle does a fantastic job, and I was wondering why I hadn't seen as much of her lately. Now I think I know why. What a beautiful family, and thank you for your commitment to the city. We have a great plaque that we're going to pose and give to you, but she's got the good stuff over here.
And now I obviously see who's going to get it, who's going to benefit from it. And it's just a small token, Danielle, for everything that you do for us on a daily basis and sharing yourself with us, with this beautiful family. Mayor Benjamin, if I might, as you all are sitting down, I want to take a quick moment of personal privilege to bring up 2 additional employees who help you a little bit on a daily basis. Sam Johnson and Michael Wakila. I honestly don't know where the time has gone, and I've watched these young men grow and develop, and they know I mother hen them on a daily basis. I need them to come forward for a moment, please. At this time, I'd like to present to both Sam and Michael their 5-year pins with the City of Columbia.
Time flies.
Congratulations.
Time flies.
Sam is, I'm gonna brag on him a little bit, managing law school now and work with the city. And the biggest accomplishment, I think, as a mother that Michael has, I've seen with him since he's been here is 2 children, a boy and a girl. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys. All right.
Okay.
Item 15.
Yes, sir. Ordinance first reading, ordinance number 2015-082, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract of sale
Move
and any other
approval.
documents necessary to consummate the transfer of approximately 0.7 acres of the
Been
landing.
moved and seconded by Mr. Newman. Any discussion? We'll move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Badura, Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Ordinance number 2015-085, amending ordinance 2015-049, authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement to sell and purchase real estate between the city of
Move
Columbia.
approval. Second is discussion. Just as a matter of explanation to some folks, as we continue to look at the development, and I'm sorry, Mr. Davis, if you don't mind, I'll talk about this. Development of North Main Street and the challenge of the fact we have a lot of great property out there, but a lot of the lots are not very deep. So if you're going to have some great development that also still allows for buffers between the neighborhood and neighborhoods surrounding the North Main Street corridor and seeing the type of development you want, we have to have additional parking available. So this does allow for additional potential parking on the North Main Street corridor to help facilitate development in North Columbia. We'll move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Badura.
Aye.
Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Resolution number R 2015-086, release and abandonment of portions of the city's existing water and sanitary sewer easements.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Badura.
Aye.
Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman. Mr. Davis. Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Item 19, resolution number R 2015-089, authorizing the city manager to accept a quitclaim deed from the South Carolina Department of Mental Health for property known as Parcel A.
So moved.
Parcel,
Moved and seconded. Discussion.
Sir,
Mr. Badura.
please explain to the public how are we spending, I don't know who I need to address this, maybe Jeff Palin or
CFO.
again,
Teresa Wilson?
What was the question?
either way.
My
you-
question is the general fund. The $2.5 million that we're purchasing the parcel to use as a park, it's coming out of general fund, hoping that whenever we issue installment purchase revenue bond or any other bond in March, it would reimburse the general fund for that amount. So the question is, if that bond was never issued in March, what do you do with that deficit at the end of the year?
Then it's spent out of general fund.
I'm sorry?
Then it's spent out of general fund. Or y'all give us direction on where you want to pay for it other than the general fund.
But this council
This-
made a
this is-
motion back in
Council made-
August to issue bonds to reimburse the general fund.
So, exactly. So what my point is, if the bonds are not issued in next March or April, what do? You're just going to have a deficit in the general fund? Would you need an amendment to the budget for you to do that?
We don't
Well,
have,
I
not a
don't
deficit,
know that
we just
that's
fund
an
balance. And actually, I do have a motion, maybe that might help clarify this, if that, helps.
Certainly.
I move that we pay for this transaction from the general fund, fund balance to be reimbursed by future bond issues as authorized by reimbursement resolution 2015-77 on August 18th, 2015. This council's already moved that we do this, but I think it's a good question Mr. Badura has asked, and at the appropriate time, we're going to decide that we want to move forward with issuing the bonds. But a good question to ask. That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
No.
Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. If you're done with your questions on the matter at hand, Mr. Badura, if you're not, please continue. If you are, then we'll move forward. Is there a motion on the floor, Madam Clerk? Erica, is there a motion on the floor?
Yes, sir, there was a motion
We're in
made by
discussion,
you
right?
and
Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Badura.
No.
Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Council is asked to approve the appointment of one individual to the Climate Protection Action Committee.
What was was it Louis Dassault? Yes. All right. Move the appointment of Louis Dassault to CPAC. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
And that's Ms. Devine's appointment.
It is.
Second. Discussion. Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. Now, we'll open the public hearing on the 2014 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. And we're glad to have the most fantastic community development director in the entire country, Deborah Livingston.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know about all that, but thank you very much. I appreciate that. Mayor, members of council, Ms. Wilson, Ms. Gentry, we are asking today, of course, it's a public hearing. We will present the CAPER. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Justin. We will present the CAPER. I will do it quickly, but I would first like to introduce the co-chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee, Mr. Jackson, and let him say a few words, and then I'll do the presentation quickly. And then ask for permission.
Mayor Benjamin, Council, Ms. Wilson, how is everybody today?
Hey,
I just essentially want to say, well, I also want to introduce Ms. Ursula Polaris, Dr. Anthony Morgan. They're here today as well. Our chairperson, Ty Watts, he couldn't be here. But I just want to essentially say we appreciate your view of the CAFER. We actually have a great team here, so I want to say thanks to Ms. Livingston and Ms. Bristow, and also Mr. Joseph Dukes. Anytime we need any additional information to make any decisions that we so see fit, they make sure we have all the information in a timely manner, and we rely on them deeply and greatly. And like I said, I just want to say we have a great team, and we greatly appreciate all that they have to offer.
thank you, David.
I know you guys will be ready as we start the process again in October for the NOFA for next year. Justin, if I can. Oh, you have a, oh, wonderful. Thank you. Now I can really move it. Of course, the national goals and objectives are stated, it's to provide a suitable living environment, decent housing, and economic opportunities. And the objectives are to benefit low to moderate income people, prevention or the elimination of slum and blight, and to meet an urgent need. We just had our 5-year consolidated plan process, but this CAPER is reporting for the last year of the previous CAPER. So this is the last report for the 2010-2014 CAPER. Of course, we have the annual action plan and the CAPER, the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. This just tells you all of the steps and why it's important, and it is due to HUD by September 30th. So tonight, we will be asking your permission to submit it to the Department of Housing and Urban Development. This is probably the most important slide, so I'll need to put on my glasses so I can read it for you. In entitlement, we received in CDBG 950,277. we had $677,000 in program income for a total of $1.4 million. With expenditures, we had $991,461. We did have one major project that has not drawn down, that has begun drawing down now. So hopefully that will increase with the next year when you see that. But that's why there's that deficit of the amount. The amount was committed, it just had not been drawn down by one of the city's departments. Home entitlement, we received $502,473. We had program income of $1.1 million and previous entitlements of $343,000 for a total of $1.9 million and expenditures of $1.5 million, which is huge. And of course, those were the development of the 6 houses for Burton Heights and for the Lion Street project, as well as some other monies. HOPWA, $1.4 million in allocation. This year, the allocation has been cut. It's $1.1 million, so there was a $300,000 reduction for this year. But previous entitlements were $898,000. That was money that was left over that had not been spent, for a total of $2.3 million, and the expenditures were $1.7 million. So with the total entitlement programs, we received $2.8 million. We expended $1.4. We had program income of $1.6 million and previous entitlements of $1.2. The reason why it looks like the entitlement funds is a lot lower is because you must spend program income first and the previous entitlement before you can start drawing down on the current entitlements. So having so much program income, which is a blessing for the City of Columbia, it must be spent first. So there were $5,764,775 allocated with expenditures of $4.2 million. The total expenditures again is $4,265,979, and the total leverage dollars was $11,028,725. So that's a big deal. That's huge. We did meet timeliness as of May 2nd. The Midlands became a 2016 community to end veteran and chronic homelessness. And on May 7th, as most of you remember, we celebrated our 40th anniversary. And on May 18th, we had a public showing at Nickelodeon. We did an all-access event, which encompassed neighborhood leadership development, Access Columbia, which is financial literacy, and then owning, maintaining, and gardening of home ownership. We partnered, we have a Bank On program that has started, and I will tell you that with the latest endeavor with the Mayor's Luncheon that we had a couple of weeks ago, we now have 5 bank partners for Bank On, which is huge. So, but in the previous year, we had 1 financial institution, and that was Wells Fargo. We had over 100 participants, and 5 partnering community organizations requested additional educational workshops. Work It Up had 20 graduates and 16 enrolled, which is good. So the community liaisons we've done action grants and provided 9 of those to neighborhoods for their benefits. We had 47 community meetings that we attended, 21 participants in the IDA program. And remember, that's a 3-to-1 match. So for every dollar they save, we provide them $3 to match it. So we had 21 participants in that program, and several of them graduated. And then National Night Out. And with the Facade program, which has been a huge success, you can see some of the impact that it has had. Housing, like I said previously, both Eau Claire Development Corporation, the Columbia Housing Development Corporation, community assistance providers, all did work with Home, and we made 39 loans, and we counseled over 330 people. And We provided money to Columbia College, Epworth Children's Home, Fast Forward, Senior Resources, and Homeworks. Public Works and Parks and Recreation received funds. And these are the numbers for the HOPWA funding that we received, that we provided. So you can see we had supported services. We actually helped 640 people with the housing of opportunities with people with AIDS. So we want to thank our CAC members. Thank you guys very much. We really do appreciate it. And we will start the process all over again in a month for next year's money. And that's it.
Awesome. Awesome.
Did I do that in 5 minutes?
Any questions for Deborah?
Does anybody have any questions?
No?
It was an
Any-
awesome year. We had a great time, great
Yeah, it's
staff.
been- It's been an incredible year. May I have another one? You have another packet?
Yes, sir, we can get you another.
Yeah, I'd love to have another one. Now, you guys continue doing excellent, excellent work. How are we on all of our timeliness deliverables and everything else? Everything's
Well, with
good to go?
Mr. Anderson's help,
Got lots-
we will meet timeliness by December 31st of this year.
Okay, so.
That's right, isn't it, Mr. Anderson?
And we have, just for those who may be listening also online, we have continuous ongoing discussions with Deborah and her staff and other partners about ways in which we can do other very creative things in the community, ways in which, as we look at the sequester and diminishing home funds and CDBG funds across the country, what else can we do on a local level to try and make sure we're providing more affordable housing across this community? How can we work closely with a number of providers to make sure that not only work on public housing, but also private sector housing? And even some really creative things about how we can create jobs through things like urban farming and some other creative ideas that we're very proud our community development department's taking the lead on. So thank you, Deborah. Thank you for all.
You're welcome.
Do you need an affirmative
need-
disposition of this?
Yes, I
item?
do. I need permission to be able to submit it to the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Okay.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. In discussion. With the previous question, clerk call the roll.
Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I don't believe anyone had signed up to speak, Mayor.
I'm sorry. Has anyone signed to speak on the CAPE or no one on the sheet I have in front of me? So I did want to make sure if anyone wanted to speak on that, they could have. Okay?
Thank
And
you,
now we'll go into our land use map amendment, first reading. Madam City Manager.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm going to hand it off to Ms. Hampton.
I'm pleased, I'm happy for you to do it. This one is a quick one. This is associated with something that is in the zoning public hearing. It is a land use map amendment to amend the comprehensive plan and update the future land use map to include a parcel at 121 and 201 Moore Hopkins Lane. So this is only amending the land use map. Later on in the zoning public hearing, we will be hearing about zoning map amendment.
All right. Are you going to make a presentation, Krista, or is this just our consideration and vote?
It is just for your
Okay,
consideration.
we've,
Yeah,
okay.
as you know, we recently updated the
Okay.
future
Oh,
land use.
absolutely. Okay. I'm
map,
perfect.
so,
Very familiar. Just want to make sure.
Yep.
All right. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
To give first reading. Any discussion? We'll move the previous question. The clerk call the roll. And is it when this is? All right.
Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis. Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. Okay. All right. Well, is Mr. Badura left for the meeting? Okay. So I'm not sure why that is, but we're done with the regular hearing. We have a zoning public hearing that begins at 7 p.m. Did he advise you all that he was leaving, or why he was leaving? And it's regrettable. We had a discussion at the work session today that Mr. Davis had some personal issues. He would have to depart at 6:50 p.m., and that in order to continue with the meeting, to maintain a quorum, that we need all 4 members to be here, and Mr. Badura agreed that he'd be here, so I do regret the fact he's left. I have no idea why. but so let it be. We are required by law to 7 p.m., wait till 7 p.m. to start the zoning public hearing. Maybe we speak for a second, and we should have a pretty short zoning public hearing before we're able to wrap up the meeting. We do have, I mean, if you guys want to make a very effective use of our time, we can go ahead and hear from some constituents who sent to speak on various matters with the understanding that we're going to start this zoning public hearing at 7 p.m. sharp. All right, any objections? All right, good deal. And maybe Madam Legal Counsel, maybe you can call Mr. Badura and make sure he knows that in his absence, we won't have a quorum shortly. And then we need him back to dispose of his duties to the people of Columbia. Signed up to speak today, we have 7 folks. Mr. Blaine Garrett from Richmond, Virginia. Okay. And only if you want to speak, maybe some folks I know when you're not in town, they sign up just to make sure we know that they're here. You have no responsibility to sign up. Okay. All right. All right. Michelle Harris. Did you want to speak, Michelle? We love Michelle Harris.
And when do I ever turn down an opportunity
Okay.
to speak? Good evening. I just wanted to take the opportunity to invite the council and everyone in the gallery to a wonderful family-friendly event that's coming up this Saturday. It's called Sofrito and Soul, and we thank the City of Columbia. You all have always been so supportive of Latino Communications, LCCDC, a wonderful nonprofit organization, in the different events that we have done, and this is another one that we are doing free to the public and absolutely wonderful for families. There'll be a kids zone, there's music, there's fun, there's food. If you like any combination of those things, by all means, come out. It's going to be on the Clemson Extension grounds right across from the village at Sandhills. And we are coming together for unity and celebrating diversity and culture, but we're also tackling some wonderful and raising money for some wonderful issues, including we are talking about cancer and cancer being victorious over cancer. And even though admission is free, we are charging $5 per vehicle for parking so that we can in part raise money for a wonderful organization called CJ's Kids. And that is an organization that is close to the heart of people that you know, including Shanique Belton. Mm-hmm. She is an absolute inspiration to not only to council, but also to many people in the community. And for those who may not know, Shanique is an absolutely wonderful person, mother who is victorious over breast cancer. And so she is coming out and introducing her organization, which is for the children of parents who have cancer, because they don't necessarily have a place to voice their concerns and fears and come together. So we are absolutely happy to be able to raise funds, and we will have an opportunity to sell the shirts that the City of Columbia has to raise money for your breast cancer awareness effort. So we're trying to be inclusive. So please come to, go to latinocdc.org if you want more information, or give a call to our offices, 227-8984. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. All right. Ms. Ann Tatum, did you want to speak? Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. As you know, I was before you before to talk about the pedicabs for the City of Columbia, and I want you to know I have 2 of the vehicles downstairs for you to take a look at or to take a ride in. It's a beautiful afternoon. I wanted to allow the council members the opportunity to be the first to see them.
These jelly beans?
I'm sorry?
Are these are your vehicles downstairs?
My vehicles, and they're downstairs, and we will be happy to take any of you for a ride this afternoon. They will be before the City Police Department tomorrow for their formal inspections, and we plan to have them on the highway immediately after. So I just wanted you to have the first opportunity to see them.
Mr. LeBlanc wants to ride right now. Take him outside.
Thank you for your time, and
Okay.
I would love for you to see it.
All right. Thank you very much. We've got about a very brief 4-minute break. So if anyone wants to take a very brief personal break, please allow yourself to do that, okay? And we'll start back in literally in 4 minutes flat. For some of you who are regular observers, hopefully this will be one of the shortest meetings you ever had. All right?
Any one of the council members who would like to take a pedicab ride will be downstairs.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I don't know.
What time is it now?
I'll text it out. You got it any day. If it doesn't work,
Well, whatever I can do. I'll let you read it. That was good. I'm fine about that, but we appreciate it. Y'all have been so great to work with and just helping us. Admittedly, zoning's not my area of expertise, so y'all have been so wonderful to help us with navigate through this. So thank you. Thank you both. So, well, if y'all have any questions about us, I'm your girl, so don't hesitate. Absolutely. I'm sure I'm here to love the girls. I'm in Casey. Hopefully soon they can move it. I'm not perfect. So I do y'all trying to get things done.
We go.
Chef Sally just walked up. He knew that one parcel that they were trying to defer, or they withdrew that 140 acre parcel. I was like, can we defer that?
All right.
I'm pretty excited too. So that's what it is.
Call this zoning public hearing to order. Item number 24.
All right, I'll try to get this very quickly. Your first thing is an annexation comprehensive plan amendment and zoning amendment at 1030 Andrews Road, a request to
Move
annex.
approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Is anyone here to speak in favor of or against this issue?
Pardon me, I need to
I'm sorry.
state-
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I need to read a statement into the minutes for this, please.
Okay.
The City of Columbia understands, acknowledges, and agrees that the Richland County Recreation Commission shall continue to provide recreational services on the annexed property located at 1030 Andrews Road, also known as the Perrin Thomas Community Center pursuant to South Carolina Code, Section 53310, 1976, as amended. Further, the City of Columbia acknowledges that it will not provide any recreational services on the annexed property pursuant to South Carolina Code, Section 53310, 1976, as amended in the future.
And that statement is incorporated into the motion for approval as referenced.
Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
121-201 Moore Hopkins Lane. This is a request to rezone from C3 to M1, and I also need to make an amendment on this.
Now, 1 second. Where are we?
Yeah, that's, I noticed I hopped
Oh,
I
27.
hopped ahead.
You moved to 27. Okay.
Yeah. Just because that's where my presentation took me. So we are at 27, a zoning map amendment. We are looking to request the rezoning from C3 to M1.
Is anyone here to speak in favor of or against this matter? Seeing none, I move approval. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I do need
Yes,
to
ma'am.
request, because there has been a little bit of issue with the second parcel number. So we are requesting this rezoning for tax map 7309-02-06. We are requesting a deferral of the public hearing for 7309-02-19 portion.
So move.
Second. Move previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. Will we see that one at the next meeting, next zoning public hearing, possibly?
Possibly.
Okay. Thank you.
So we will defer
All right.
that one. We will move back to 25, and it looks like I have to abandon my presentation at this point. At 2102 South Beltline Boulevard, tax map 13606, request to annex assign a land use classification to this property.
Is anyone here to speak in favor of or against this? Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
7011 Garners Ferry Road, request to annex assigned a land use classification and zone the property.
Is anyone here to speak in favor of or against this? Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We'll move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Final item is at 1221 UG Street, a request for a major amendment to PUD CDD for the Klein site.
Is anyone here to speak in favor of or against? None of the proponents are here, the applicants are here. Anyone against? Seeing none, is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second? Moved and second. Any discussion? We'll move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. For those who are paying attention to the agenda online, item 29 was deferred. And as we mentioned earlier, we're going to take up, Mr. Newman and I personally, pulling together a meeting on item 30 to resolve that with the applicant and the neighborhoods. Are there any, we'll close this public meeting, public hearing. Are there any issues to go to committee by referral? Any reports from committee? We have no other citizens who are signed up to speak. I'll entertain a non-debatable motion to adjourn. Is there one?
So moved.
Is there a second? With the previous question, clerk call a roll.
Mr. Runyon.
Aye.
Mr. Newman. Mr. Davis. Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Have a great evening.